Shawn Clement here, Wisdom in Golf and Golf WRX. And, think of us as your filter. You want to know if a nugget that you've heard from another website or another teacher is worthwhile. Well, it's kind of important to know your ABCs in anatomy, and that's who we are. We've been on YouTube now for 10 years. We have over 800 videos out here. And today, I'm going to show you how Scully and I are going to go through the basics of chipping. And we're going to demystify a couple of things. Now, so often we've heard, keep the legs quiet, keep the lower body still. And I'm going to show you why that's not a good idea, okay? Number one, if you stand nice and tall, you'll notice that if you try to move your shoulders, you got your clavicle and your scapula that are sitting on top of your rib cage. Most people don't realize is that you only have about 20 degrees of range of motion right there. So a 90-degree shoulder turn doesn't exist. And when you bring your hands together to take your grip, well, you'll notice that your range of motion is even more diminished. It's basically just a buffer zone. Now, if you look at how we would perform, let's say, basic things like bowling or tossing a ball. So if I'm tossing a ball towards you, another thing that you'll notice is that the shoulders are sitting forward on the rib cage, about 20 degrees. So if I wanted to toss a ball towards you, if I was facing you directly, the natural tendency would be for me to pull it. I would tend to throw it well to the left. So in order for the ball to move towards you, I got to move to the side, and that puts my lead leg in a great position to give me a little mini kinetic chain, and I can toss this ball to you. So notice my body is moving out of the way. You wouldn't be bowling this way. Notice how my arm is hitting the side of my rib cage, and my elbow's bending, and I'm going to basically send the bowling ball right into my teeth. So that bowling ball has to have the ability to clear. So notice how my body is using the forward leg to clear my body out of the way. The other foot's moving back and my rib cage is moving out of the way. So a chipping motion is basically two tosses, one in each direction. So I'm just going to set a little bit more weight on my forward side, let my arms hang in front of me, and I'm going to take one ball and toss it toward the net, and I'm going to take the other ball and toss it towards you. So notice, as I'm getting ready to go to the net, I'm not going to pull it inside. I'm not going to go out here. I'm going to go in a direction that matches me going into the net. So let's say I'm going into the red square. This feels like a red square. Notice the other one is getting ready to go toward the camera. That can go toward the camera. Red square, camera, red square. Now notice how my body's got to move out of the way. You hear all the time, allow the chest to turn toward the target. But what about the backswing? You need it as well. Now, because you're already wired for this, and you can test it right here, hold your arm out to your side. Let it fall. Notice the shoulder socket has 360 degrees worth of range. Useless if there's an obstacle in the way. So you bend forward. Arm out to your side. Let it fall in front of you. Well, it still won't swing. My upper arm is crashing into my rib cage, and I'm basically in a great position to slap myself. So now, in order for my arm to go that way, well, here we go. I'm just going to give it the command. Let the arm swing past me toward the target. Right away, the brain's going to have to go get the ground, use the ground to get my body out of the way so my arm can swing freely past me. Same for the backswing. Let the arm fall, let it swing freely past me. Nothing to think about. No positions to look for. We're already wired for this. It's called a kinetic chain. So if I'm skipping a stone on water, none of my students in the last 30 years have ever messed that up, okay? So you are not defective. You're brilliant with this stuff because this is how we're built. So now if I go to a chip shot, every instrument known to humanity is design handle first in mind. So if I have a sword in my hands and I'm cutting through a bamboo shoot, you notice how elbow leads hand, hand leads blade, blade leads tip of blade. If I'm going fishing, this is the same thing over here. If If I'm hammering a nail into a door frame or a 2x4, same thing. That's the sequence. So I want to feel like my hands are naturally hanging in front of the ball. How do you do that? Just play the ball off your back foot. So we're going to play the ball off the back foot, bring the hands together in front of us where they're hanging right underneath the sternal notch. This is the center of the arm swing. So I let my arms hang right there. And now I'm just going to toss in both directions. One for you, one for you. Toss, toss. So for many of you, this would look like a closed face. It's not. My left hand is facing you. The club face will look closed. My right hand is facing away from you. I'm tossing with the right hand. Now the face looks open. None of the above. It just hasn't changed. So all I'm doing is just letting the weight of my arm club unit cut the grass. So if I let the sole of the club cut the grass, well, then the center of the face will meet the golf ball. So there's your motion. Don't let the left arm hit you. Don't let the right arm hit you. Out of the way, out of the way. So now we've got this wonderful, tidy little chip motion. All I want to do is cut grass. If the ball's off my back foot, I'm going to cut the grass, the dandelion stem first. This is a dandelion in disguise. Notice where the low point is? Always there off my back foot. The last of it is, I need an intermediate point. So try to find a spot in front of the ball that's no more than a foot in front of the ball to guide your momentum. So if I had a kid on a swing and I want the kid to swing towards you, I'm not going to take the kid back this way. I have to bring the kid back in a direction that's going to allow him or her to swing in your direction. So I need an intermediate point for that. So let's say I'm going to put one underneath the red square. I'm going to go right edge of that. Let everything hang in front of that. Now I'm just cutting the dandelion stem that way. That does not fit. That doesn't fit. That's going into the ground. That feels like I can cut in that direction. Don't let it hit me. Don't let it hit me. See where I'm finishing? I'm simply allowing momentum to cut through. Now, many of you are in a predicament right now where your focus and attention is always on the ball, and because it's such a small motion, you're micromanaging your manipulations to try and meet the ball. That's sabotage on an epic scale. And that's why many of you are struggling with this motion. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the grip. Many of you putt cross-handed or left hand low. We're going to do the same thing. So I'm going to let my hands hang here, bring the club back. And because you've got a change in your grip, we've reset the brain. And now we're just going to use this grip to cut through the grass. So I'm just cutting through. Don't let it hit me. Don't let it hit me. So you'll notice on the backswing, you really have to open up. If you don't, right away, you're going to get a chicken wing, right? What's a chicken wing? Well, on the way through, when your lead arm collapses, is because there's no room for the trail arm to continue. Same thing applies for the backswing. So I'll play the ball off my back foot, let the hands hang naturally in front, right here. I can do, overlap or interlock, doesn't matter. I feel the weight of my arms and club, and I'm just letting momentum cut the stem in that direction. So you're going to feel something entirely different. I see the stem, cut through the stem in that direction. So notice I still have the same thing going on. Now, Tiger's coming back very soon, and one of the things that they're going to be keeping their eyes on is, just how, secure is that short game of his. And I'm telling you, what he's been practicing is the ability to use momentum and less manipulation, more flow in that short game. And that's what many of you are severely lacking right now. So, toss, toss. Don't let it hit you. Don't let it hit you, so that your arm club unit can track like a ball on a string, okay? The center of that is here, the sternal notch. If I only had one arm and I allow that to track, well, the center of that is over here. It's my shoulder. So bring both hands together in front of the ball. If I put the ball center, I have to force my hands forward. I have now put a measure of manipulation already in there. So I want the ball off the back foot so my hands can hang naturally in front, and now I'm free to use momentum. So whether I use a cross-handed grip or a natural standard grip, makes no difference if I'm using momentum. But for many of you who are using your normal grip and you see a ball in front of you, then the brain is saying, hey, keep everything quiet and let's make sure we have proper contact with this ball because you keep messing up. And the more you manipulate, the more you're going to mess up. So turn on that genius of gravity in you, use momentum to cut through the dandelion stem in a very specific direction, and you'll have a bunch of fun.